Hey everybody, another episode of Broke Bones Garage. It's been a hot minute. Made a few moves. Let's sketch you up. We still have the 1960 American that is waiting for its exhaust manifold to come back from the machine shop yet. I have to get the push rods put in, put the valve cover on, take that carburetor riser plate off, because according to the internet, squirrels, according to the internet, it would fit. I am not going to get a carburetor and nuts to lock onto 4 threads. So this has to come back off. It's solid wood. I really doubt it was going to work to begin with, but it was worth a shot. Push rods, thermostat, air intake, carburetor. Try to find some way of warding off that vent cover, because this 196 was not meant for this engine bay. So to get it to fit, they actually had to hammer the heater core out of the way to get the valve cover to fit. So either I have a valve cover or I have a heater cover. I can't have both. So I'm going to try and see if there's any way I could just remove that, because you don't need a heater in Arizona. But the American is coming along. Polished it up, washed it. Just some Poor Boys Walmart Great Value car wax. I don't think it came out too bad. But I still need to get the windshield. But I think the little shoebox cleaned up rather nicely. The 1965 AMC 660 that was parked next to it in the last video, I have sold. I just kind of washed my hands of it. It was more of a project than I cared to get into. As for the 62 Plymouth, I have got a lot of the motor work done. Let's go and get a recap. It's got a complete engine rebuild, alternator, starter, water pump, cleaned up the radiator, new thermostat, thermostat, radiator cap, fuel lines, fuel filter, ignition tune-up, both horns do work, all new gaskets, oil breather cap. I just went through and did all of it. I just went to put fuel in the carburetor to see if it would at least bark off or try to start. And that little Carter is belching gasoline everywhere's but into the motor. So I'm going to have to get this one rebuilt or replaced. Did end up putting in the brand new master cylinder, so I'm going to bleed the brakes here shortly. And then I'm not getting any fuel from the tank. It's a brand new fuel pump. It can only go in one way, so I don't have my lines backwards. I ended up doing that with the Ford. But yeah, I ended up pulling the fuel line and took an air gun from my compressor and tried to back blow to the tank, and it's not going anywheres. Went to the gas tank, took the cap off, pressurized the tank, try and blow fuel up. Nothing. So I got the hot idea of I will take out like 18-inch sections of fuel line and see if I can find the blockage. I ended up having to come all the way back almost to the tank. So there's the tank. It's been that day. So the Valiant is currently on blocks, lost her wheels, lost her fuel tank. So I'm going to get this cleaned, order out a new sending unit, and try to clean up the mounting line. Let's just get in here for a minute. that has to screw back down to the floor. So I'm missing like 6 sheet metal screws or whatever those were at one point. Clean up the fuel intake, pop that vent line off up there, and then I also have the vent line here. So I got 1 vent line, 2 vent lines, and then the main fill line. So I got to clean all this up, find someone to clean up the gas tank, and I will remount that. I ended up pulling about 2, 3, there's probably about a gallon left in it, so it was about half full. But I got all of the electrical done. The upholstery needs to be redone, but you know, the seats are just starting to give out. The headliner's falling in the back. I got a squirrel hole chewed up by the passenger door, so he was running up in here, but I ended up catching him. Replaced the driver's side mirror. That's actually laying in the car. But the Valiant is coming along. I need to get the fuel tank cleaned, lines ran, carburetor rebuilt, registration plates and title, all of that's taken care of. So this is a legal vehicle again. As for the 67 F250, I need to install the new exhaust manifold gaskets, or the exhaust intake combo gasket, whatever you want to call it, and remount the manifold, the exhaust manifold. But the nuts and bolts for that were very corroded, very soft. So I'm going to order a whole new post kit for the Ford. And then in the trunk of the American, my little safety box, there is a box full of parts. All 4 shocks, new post kit, gasket, get the title for this one, and then this is done. I ended up replacing all of the brakes, all of the wheel bearings, new headlights, missing lenses, polished out the grille. That bumper is going to come off, and that big tow truck bumper is going on, and then that's got probably a 2-foot deep shelf of 3/4 inch plate steel. So I'm going to put a winch bumper and I think it's a 4-ton winch on the front bumper. Mount that, weld it all to the frame. The radio antenna, the new mirrors, the rain guards, just for a little dress in chrome. There is a air horn system on the front seat. Actually, I didn't lock it. Yeah, let's see. We got the air horn. These are all, I ordered 2 gasket kits just in case I trashed them. These are all spare parts. Air horns going in, new gas pedal. Found a bunch of the replacement pulls and knobs. The radio, I don't think works. The windshield reservoir, and then the winch bumper, or yeah, 3-ton winch with remote access. All new door gaskets, door pins, door locks. So I got all of that. I picked up a brand new receiver. I'm going to put that on the truck, as well as new brake lenses, all new bulbs all the way around. I'm going to take the spare tire carrier off because that interferes with the new hitch, and get one of those bed wall mounted spare tire carriers for in the bed. gas cap. So I did end up replacing a good portion of the truck. Complete engine rebuild as well. Power brakes still work, master cylinder still works, put fluid in it, fired it right off. New windshield washer pump, fuel pump, complete ignition system, new ignition column because it didn't have keys, PCV valve, filler cap, thermostat, water pump. I went through the entire truck. New heater core valve. That was a fun little part to get my hands on. Rock Auto has them if you are looking for it. And then I got the radiator straightened out. I have a fin brush. I just sat and tootled with that for a few hours. And then the 67 F100 with the 240. This is like an absolute bomb. The whole truck was like 200 bucks. But I was going to rebuild this one with all of the hand-me-down parts from that one, because that's getting all upgrades. All of its parts were going to come to this one. I actually have a friend interested in this. He wants to do a body swap. Since the cab is twisted, that door is crushed and doesn't open. The whole front end is smashed out and missing. The radiator's gone, carburetor's gone, brakes are gone, and the entire wood bed is missing. Or I should just say, like, rotted out. I'm going to try and keep the bed because I want to turn that into a trailer, probably for that one. But he wants the frame and the drivetrain. He wants to do a body swap. He's got a 53 International Metro van, the old milk delivery wagons, that he wants to put on a newer body that he can get parts for. Well, a 67 Ford, it's not too common, but hey, it's a Ford. You can still get things for these no matter how rough they are. So I'm going to try and salvage the truck bed and then let the rest of it go, because I can pick up another rolling frame for close to nothing. I want that bed. And then that also has the spare tire carrier on the driver's side already mounted. So straighten out the bed, put in new wood, and then I would have a spare tire carrier in the bed of this truck and a spare tire carrier on my trailer when I get, let's see if I can get through here. Ow! Sharp. But yeah, I got the spare tire carrier here, and I want to get something like this to mount on the inside of the bed for that one. And I might salvage the gas tank out of this one, because the gas tank is like brand new. I just bought one for that truck. But pull the dash cluster, pull a couple of the parts off of it, pull the windows out because they're just going to get salvaged and scrapped. But you know, there's my back window, there's my door windows, there's my vent windows. The only thing I would need is the windshield, because this one's broke and that one's got 2 cracks in it. But if I can salvage the cab and bed and just have a rolling frame ready for him to go, I want the bed, I want the glass. The cab can go. A buddy of mine in Vermont just womped his Ford. He needs the entire front clip. A friend of mine wants the drivetrain and frame. So there's like 4 or 5 projects that we can all finish off breaking down one wrecked truck. So I think that's kind of what we're going to do with 2 spare tires to go with the Metro when it's done. And then that little Chevy Spark just got back from the garage again. Ended up blowing the bearings out on the alternator. completely seized. Burned off the stretch belt, burned out the alternator, not the alternator, the alternator serpentine belt. So I ended up coasting to the garage on just whatever the battery had left, pushed it 2 blocks because it did die. New belts, new alternator, recharged the battery, 217 out the door for that. So the Spark is back up and running. That one we're going to break down shocks, exhaust manifold, title, gas tank, fuel lines, carburetor, rocker arms, or the push rods, exhaust manifold, carburetor. That's done. So everyone's about 3 parts away from being completed. And I may have sold, 2 project vehicles and gotten 1 more back up and running. So that's what's been going on over at Brooke Bones Garage. My birthday is next week. I don't have anything planned, and I already talked myself out of buying a 1960 Pontiac. Now I'm depressed, but I got enough projects. So until then, keep wrenching, keep it greasy side down. Let me know what you're doing in the comments. Talk to you next time.